It wasn't supposed to be this way. What started as a one-time experience to spice up our relationship transformed into his obsession that consumed my life for the past 18 months. We were the perfect couple in everyone's eyes, successful, attractive, always impeccable at social events. No one imagined that every few weeks, I'd give myself to complete strangers while my boyfriend watched, his face lit up with a pleasure I never fully understood. The truth is that this dynamic began eating away at me inside, especially when I started dreaming of a different life, a house with white picket fences and the sound of little feet running down the hallways. The first time happened after his persistent insistence. We were at a bar in another city when he discreetly pointed to a man who couldn't stop looking at me. "He wants you," he whispered in my ear, his voice trembling with excitement. "I want to watch you with him." I downed another shot of tequila to build up courage. The stranger was attractive, tall, with a smile that mixed lust and kindness. We ended up in a hotel room, where my boyfriend took on the role of silent spectator. I remember the sweat dripping down my skin, the stranger's rough hands exploring my body, and my boyfriend's eyes gleaming in the dim light. After that night, he started planning our encounters with almost scientific precision. We created profiles on specific websites, where he carefully selected the candidates. We used fake names, made up stories, an elaborate fantasy that was like a drug to him. The hotels were always different, in cities where nobody knew us. He established strict rules: no contact afterward, no phone numbers exchanged, no meetings without his presence. It was a controlled game where I was simultaneously the protagonist and the puppet. The truth is that at first, I felt pleasure too. There was something liberating about being desired by strangers, about breaking all the rules of normal society. The sex was always intense, charged with adrenaline and the forbidden. Some men were gentle, others more wild. My body responded, my mind floating between ecstasy and guilt, while my boyfriend observed every moment with an almost religious fascination. But slowly, something began to change inside me. The pleasure gave way to a growing emptiness. I tried talking to him about it. Asked why he needed so badly to see me with other men, why our love wasn't enough. He'd talk about his ex-girlfriend, who left him for not accepting this lifestyle. Said it was part of who he was, that he couldn't change. The nights of sex with strangers continued, but now I saw something different in his gaze. It wasn't just lust, it was fear. Fear that I would abandon him too, like she did. And maybe that fear was justified. The breaking point came when I started thinking about having children. How would we explain our life to them? How could I be a mother while maintaining this routine of secret encounters? The last time was 2 weeks ago. The guy was an executive passing through town. While he was fucking me, I looked at my boyfriend and for the first time saw no excitement in his eyes. I just saw a man lost in his own obsession. That's when I realized I needed to choose between the love I felt for him and the love I wanted to feel for myself. My therapist says unconventional relationships can be healthy when there's true consent from both parties. But where's the line between consent and emotional coercion? How many times did I say yes, not out of desire, but out of fear of losing him? How many orgasms were real and how many were acted out to satisfy his fantasy? The questions pile up in my mind as I try to find the courage to make the choice I know is necessary. Today, I look in the mirror and barely recognize the woman who became the leading actress in this erotic theater. I don't regret the experiences. They taught me a lot about desire, power, and the limits of love. But I know I can't continue. I don't want to be the protagonist of his fantasies anymore. I want to be the protagonist of my own life. And if that means losing him, maybe that's the price I need to pay to find myself again. The hardest part is knowing he won't change. Not for me, not for anyone. His need to watch me with other men is greater than his love for me, or maybe it's the only way he knows how to love. Sometimes, late at night, I can still smell all those strangers on my skin. I close my eyes and see their faces, their bodies, their hands touching me while he watched. These are memories that will stay with me forever, invisible scars from a love that consumed me. Last night, he tried to arrange another meeting. He had found the perfect guy online, wanted us to meet over the weekend. For the first time, I managed to say no. I saw the panic in his eyes, the same panic I saw the first time I suggested having a child. I knew I was losing him, But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finding myself. Sometimes, love requires us to choose between the person we love and the person we want to be. Now, sitting alone in our apartment while he processes my decision, I realize it was never about sex. It was about power, control, and the masks we wear to hide our deepest fears. He needed to see me with other men to feel powerful. I needed to accept it to feel loved. We were two broken people trying to complete each other in a way that only broke us more. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Whether he'll accept a normal life with me or if he'll look for another woman willing to fulfill his fantasies. What I do know is that I can't pretend anymore that the moans are from pleasure when they're from pain, that the orgasms are real when they're just acting, that I'm happy when I'm losing myself. Maybe it's time to accept that not every love is meant to last, that some loves exist only to teach us who we really are. Years ago, I read somewhere that true love sets us free, it doesn't imprison us. I spent the last 18 months being free to have sex with whoever I wanted, as long as it was under his conditions. What kind of freedom comes with so many chains? Now I understand that true freedom lies in being able to say no, in choosing our own path, in loving someone without having to lose ourselves in the process. I decided to write this story not to judge those who live unconventional relationships. Everyone knows what works for them. But to warn about the difference between choosing a lifestyle and being chosen by it. Between consenting and conforming. Between loving someone and nullifying yourself for someone. The sex with strangers might have been exciting, but nothing is more exciting than rediscovering who we are when we remove all the masks. This is a work of fiction, but it reflects real dilemmas many face in relationships. How far should we go to please someone we love? The answer lies in never losing sight of who we really are and what we truly want from life.